not good. The bundle itself, I've done the math on it, and I will probably try to post it. A whopping 2.
Following from the 360 onwards, they have always
from X fired by the
mainline Gears of
PlayStation 5 consoles using a reworked version.
Hey folks, and welcome to Generation Next, or should I say Generation Now. I already used that one.
I was gonna say, you made that joke last week.
I know, we should just commit and call it Generation Now. But this week we are talking about scalpers and how messed up it is that they managed to grab so many consoles and what, if anything, retailers can do to combat it. So to discuss, I'm joined by Xbox expert Jordan Ramey.
Yo.
And PlayStation Pro Timur Hussein.
Hello everyone.
And a nice polite greeting.
I still don't trust this.
Hi.
Like,
No, me neither.
the last episode we had, he led all innocent-like, and then he dropped the other shoe at the end of the episode.
Don't know what you're talking about. It's absolutely fine.
Just because we had Thanksgiving break doesn't mean that I've forgotten.
No, let's just given him more time to think of some. So, before he gets a chance, let's jump straight into it. Tam, do you want to give us...
You want to give us?
Before Tam thinks of something disgusting to say, let's get right into it. Tam, do you want to give us the backstory on what's been going on?
Yes, Lucy, I would love to give you the backstory on what's going on.
I'm trying to... I'm waiting for the goof. I'm waiting for the goof. Why'd you say it's so weird?
Everyone on edge. That's my new
What's
thing.
happening
Just keep
here?
everyone on the
Oh my
edge.
god.
So, the thing that's happening here is, Jordan, bots. Bots are happening here. I think we're familiar with bots that, like, you know, on the Twitter variety that are like, here's a picture of all the toilets in video games. Shout out to Andy Kelly. But these are a different kind of bots. These are evil bots that are making it hard for people to buy stuff. So this is a massive deal in the trainers / sneaker market.
I knew. So, Tam and I are British, and when I was putting this run of show together, I wrote sneakers, and I was like, I'm deliberately not going to say that word, because I'm British, and we don't say that word, we say trainers.
What?
In,
You
in
do?
the-
Yeah,
in
we
the-
do call them
yeah,
trainers.
in the trainers.
Why?
Actually, from my part of London, we call them crepes. So now you know why the reseller group is called Crep Chief Notify. Sneakers, the sneaker market, and getting, you know, highly sought after exclusive sneakers have become a bit of a cottage industry now, where it's valued, the resale market for sneakers especially is valued at around 2 billion, which is ridiculous. And now we're in a situation where, you know, they're kind of branching out the use of bots to purchase in-demand items in bulk has branched out into other super in-demand items, such as for example, the NVIDIA 30 series of graphics card. They were super difficult, and they still are super difficult to get because
They're impossible. I looked today, and they're...
a bot buying it and then selling it for a premium.
Before we get too deep into the weeds on how these bots work, because I went down a rabbit hole today, have you guys ever bought anything from a scalper? And if you haven't, would you ever consider it? What is like the white whale item that you would go to a scalper for?
So when I worked retail, I had access to a lot of Wii's, and I had access to a lot of copies of Professor Layton. However, I wasn't...
I was about to say, are you the scalper? Are you about to admit
No.
you?
Backstreet Professor Layton. Got some
Honestly, yeah,
got some
legitimately,
good picker acts on sale here, stranger.
got a selection of DS games on sale, stranger. So what I did was I realized it was happening, and obviously the company I work for, which shall remain nameless, didn't really care. It was just like, if they're buying it, who cares?
That to make it illegal to use bots to bypass limits on buying tickets for events, and people who did that can face unlimited fines, and that's been enforced since July 2018. Originally, so this was even more interesting. So it's like really good that that went through. Originally, it was going to be an offense to even use digital purchasing software to purchase excess event tickets.
How would
for
they
resale.
possibly police that? How would they?
That's the thing.
track
That
that?
got withdrawn.
Internet
that part,
cops.
that part got withdrawn. So like, yeah, because how can you? I don't know what counts as excessive. I guess some events. I remember going to events. They would be like, okay, you can go see Metallica in concert, but you can only buy 6 tickets. So maybe it was like if you bought more than that. But
I guess they could like focus on addresses that are like, why is there 70 tickets going to one address?
I mean, well, interestingly, they did arrest and prosecute 2 resellers in the UK who made £11 million
Oh my God.
doing resale stuff for Cursed Child, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Ed Sheeran, and Taylor Swift tickets. So this is technically illegal in the UK. It's also use of the tech was made a criminal offence in New York because a report found that one bot had bought 1,000 tickets in 1 minute for a U2 concert at Madison Square Garden.
That can't be real. What?
Yep. So it like the legislation is there in some places. However, it's not enforced around the world. Although I'm amazed, like it just seems to be for music and events right now. So nothing about consoles or anything or graphics cards.
Well, I almost wonder, like, and this is just me speculating, there's no basis behind, like, what I'm saying. If it's almost... Music is one of those things that, like, tickets have been sold digitally, like, forever, like, at this point. Like, for things like consoles, like, in previous years and generations, whenever we got new consoles, there were always, like, select numbers that, like, Best Buy and GameStop would just hold, like, on... side. It's like you have to actually come into the store and buy it yourself. And now that we're in a pandemic, like everyone's buying stuff digitally, so it was like completely digital purchases for consoles this time around, and like we just might not be prepared to acknowledge that there are other aspects of our capitalist hellscape that need to be monitored for digital purchases.
Yeah, that's the thing. So one group managed to exploit a link to a UK retailer and got 1,000 Series X consoles, and then Sky News dubbed them in, and so the retailer. But the thing is, this is the issue here. It's like the retailer went in and cancelled these orders that they thought were suspicious, but they accidentally cancelled some legit orders as well. So there is no easy way of doing it. Like the one method that I found that a retailer used is Curry's PC World in the UK, listed the consoles at £2,000 more than they actually cost. And if you were a registered user and you'd properly pre-ordered, I think there was like a token or something, they would email you your code to a £2,000 discount code. So you had to pay £5 to like properly pre-order. Then they would send you this thing, and you couldn't copy paste the actual code to activate it. So
you had to
like,
actually type it in yourself.
you had to physically type it in, so to get around bots that way, which is really, really clever. But it's like it's wild.
Yeah, that's
a lot of
also
steps.
like a dangerous game as
Yeah.
well. Like you make some mistakes there, and someone's paying $2,000 for something.
Yeah.
Wild.
So that's what retailers are doing. But in terms of like actual like Facebook Marketplace is rife. So is eBay. One of the things I've enjoyed doing is reverse image searching the picture that I posted when I got my PS5 and seeing just how many Facebook Marketplace and retweet to win tweets it's appeared in, which is a lot. So always do that. Always make sure you reverse image search.
Or just take a picture like I did, like take a picture of something in the foreground and put the console in the background, like my screwdriver picture. That's
Oh yeah, your screwdriver picture is very good. But it's like, yeah, it's probably the same question where it's like, why aren't they doing anything?
Yeah.
It's not technically illegal.
I don't think they like where Facebook, for example, they don't give a crap what you're selling there. You've seen some of the stuff in there. I've seen some absurd things in there.
They're
You
just
can buy
taking their percentage
anything.
and moving on.
Yeah, they don't care. They're like, yeah, you can buy that. We're here to steal your information, not your money. That's meaningless to us. eBay is just a nightmare hellscape anyway. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. It does suck. And the thing is, like, the tricky thing is, like, people want to give gifts right now because one, it's the holiday season. Two, gifts right now are all that's kind of lifting a lot of people's spirits. But if you can just hold out for a little longer until the restocks happen and all this dies down, you won't have to stress yourself out about this stuff, and you'll be able to pay a normal price. This always happens. Like, there's always like scarcity around things, and then the scalper stuff happens, and after a while it just like calms down and things are normally available again.
It's wild. Anyway, so I thought we'd cover it this week and just talk about it and kind of explain a bit.
For micro.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Generation Next, or should I say Generation Now?
No.
No.
Oh well. Just really pulled the rug out from under my feet there. But anyway, this week we're going to be discussing. Let's talk about the thing that has really dominated the discussion this week. I don't think I've ever heard the phrase rest mode as much as I have this week. Tam, do you want to give us the overview of what's been happening?
Like many of us living through the current day and age where
These strange and unusual times.
Yeah, like us, the PlayStation 5 is like crashing in rest mode. So the issue kind of has been reported a bunch of places. I know from us, we not picked up on it, but our first kind of exposure to it was Giant Bomb, friend of shows, in the family, very own Jeff Gersman, who tweeted about the bug. And it's basically when he put the console into rest mode while playing Spider-Man Remastered, it crashed the entire system. And then following up to that, we had our very own Kurt Indovina, who lost 2 hours of Demon's Souls progress when his console just like
that hurts me.
Yeah, it was
the Tower Knight fight.
And I know Kurt was distraught, but all I'm gonna say is like, Kurt, grow up. Just get out of the game. 2 hours is nothing. That's a quick run. Just go for the legs, bring him down, stab him face, move on with your life. What are you complaining about?
Bugs are just features.
Yeah, this is just an extra challenge. No, but seriously, that sucks.
But there's also been like issues with syncing cloud saves.
Yeah,
I saw a tweet about someone like platinuming, I think it was Miles Morales, and then they had the rest mode bug that crashed, and then their save didn't sync.
Yeah.
So did they still have the plat, or did they?
No, they got a lot of. It wasn't actually like platinuming it. It was got most of the way to it, and then like refreshed it. And
that's like, even worse.
Yeah. So like Kurt's one was he put it on rest mode, and then when he tried to turn it on, it had shut off in the background, and his controller didn't connect. It was as if it was unpaired, and then when he turned it on, it was having issues syncing his cloud saves. So that's something that I have had as well, like cloud save syncing issues, where I'll turn it on and it's like, hey, we can't sync this save file. So luckily it hasn't been a crash. So I think you can go in there and force a manual sync as well, which is what I did. But like if it screws up, and you're just completely unaware and you don't get that option, that really sucks. However, Sony has released an update.
So before we get on to the update, we need to talk about some of the other issues that people have had. So there have been charging issues with using the front port, the front USB port. People are reporting that the DualSense just isn't charging and getting to full battery. The reason I wanted to talk about this before we talked about the update is because the PS5 has a really irritating preference where it keeps trying to get the PS4 version of a game. So if you have a game like Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, COD Blops Cow, it will download the PS4 version fine, and it'll keep trying to default to that one. Callie had that issue. Multiple people have had that issue.
Yeah.
I've had it where
over and Kind of Funny has had that issue.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing that I didn't think that Xbox's smart delivery was going to be this huge thing that would just be easy across both systems, but surprisingly it's like, oh no, Sony didn't handle this super well on the PlayStation side.
It's been very strange, but another thing, so defaulting to the PS4 version, like there is a workaround to make sure you're playing the right version of the game, but the other thing is there has been a download queue bug. This one happened to me with Ghost of Tsushima, actually, but there has been, there's an article over on IGN by a friend of the show, Joe Scrabbles, who basically, like, apps will get caught in this weird state where it says that it's queued for download, and then you get this download error. And he had this issue, and multiple people over there have had the issue where COD will download the PS4 version fine, and then just refuse to download the PS5 version. So Sony issued the patch, which didn't specifically state what it was fixing, but it was like 900 megabytes, and it said this system software update improves system performance. So people are reporting that it should be a lot better to, the firmware hopefully should be more stable now. It should hopefully charge. But Joe Scrabbles did a follow-up and said that patch didn't fix the download queue bug. So that is
disappointing.
Ruh-roh.
Strange. And I think he said that he's still actually unable to play the PS5 version of COD.
Yeah, that is extremely unfortunate, but not entirely unexpected.
Yeah.
I know we'll get on to like whether we should be worried or not, but the important, like the thing that gives me solace is how much of this is software side, how much of this is hardware side. The former is easier to deal with than the latter.
Yeah.
And there are certainly some hardware issues out and about for the PlayStation as well. I mean, I know personally at least one person, my roommate, who has a non-functioning disk drive on the PlayStation 5, which is
that sucks.
pretty sucks. And the tricky thing around hardware issues is the process of sending it back to Sony or a retailer and getting it back is difficult to. There's not a lot of PS5s available, so what do you do? And I hope that Sony is taking measures to communicate itself and to retailers that they're going to extend the warranty period and make sure that when they are freely available, like they're not telling people, oh, you bought this at launch, so you're outside of the period that we can fix that for you. Sony are generally okay with it if you reach out to them directly. They're quite communicative, so hopefully that is the case here.
I will say, like, it's you do take a gamble being an early adopter of any new piece of hardware, and I think the conversation where it's like, you made a mistake, you should never, thanks for beta testing it for us, those people need to grow. Oh my god, that's probably one of the most exhaustive, like, just bad takes that I think I've seen. It's like, what do you want to do? Like, we're in a place now, especially now, where if you can't play something, like if you're super passionate about playing a certain game, like that's gonna get spoiled for you. Like with Twitter, with social media, with YouTube, with clickbait, YouTube thumbnails that show you the endings of games. Like, yeah, some people, if they are able to, want to be first in line and play those games, you know, have saved their money and, you know, so being about it doesn't help anyone.
Yeah, grow up.
So PlayStation, a lot of issues so far. I will say that mine's crashing a lot, which has been. It's been okay. It's mostly been like games that are crashing, but then they'll boot up really quickly, and so it's not. I don't know.
I think the one question a lot of people might be watching this and having is like, why didn't any of this come out in the review phase?
Because it wasn't happening.
It's important to know that this wasn't the case in the review phase, which is why it leads me to believe that this is a software focused thing. Like the PlayStation 5 itself, up until it became more available in certain territories, basically launch was perfectly stable for me, and I'm not sure if that was the case for Lucy as well, but I had 0 crashes.
I had no crashes.
Yeah, our reviewer was like reported like no crashes, maybe like one that felt like it was just a build up and overload kind of thing, but nothing noticeable. I had no issues with it. And the same thing happened to me with Demon Souls. Like I had Demon Souls slightly earlier than like most
like
people.
6 a.m. day off.
Yeah, 6 a.m. So like most people got it a few hours later, and it was fine that entire first day when, you know, a lot of people didn't have it, and then the day after when it had launched and people were starting to play it and more people were playing it, that's when all the crashes started to happen.